Her eye doctor that did the ophthalmology, that did the testing, that did the muscle surgeries for her eye, never interviewed. You know why? Because she had chronic ear infections and she needed those surgeries. Because she had a lazy eye and they did surgeries on the eye to improve her muscle strength 4 times. So why would they bring on an eye doctor and an ear doctor that did necessary surgeries? No, they had other doctors that came on. They brought on a pediatrician that met her in Missouri that never treated her for anything. And the documentaries act like none of her surgeries were necessary. And Gypsy acts like none of her surgeries were necessary. She said I had multiple throat surgeries. She had her tonsils removed because she was having strep throat. She had her adenoids removed because she was having strep throat. And she had Botox. They tried to avoid taking out her salivary glands. And she was treated with Botox. Did you know that? For months. For a couple of years, actually. And the doctors would ask her if she was getting relief from her coughing and from her congestion and from like the pooling of the saliva. And she would get the Botox and she would say, yes, they were relieved for like 7 months. Oh, thank you. To the person that said to get my eyelashes on, are you happy now? Does this make you happier? Okay, you're happy? Okay. I'm like obsessed with Q-tips. I don't know if anyone else is, but I'm obsessed. Okay. What kind of mascara? It's NARS Climax. Okay, so Gypsy has a high palate. That's another thing. So a common feature of people that have her microdeletion is to have a high palate. It doesn't mean that she's had a cleft palate, like the palate isn't open, it's just higher than normal. And her mouth is more narrow. Have you ever noticed how when she did have teeth, how crowded it was up front? Did you ever notice that her mouth almost goes like, the teeth line almost goes like this? Yeah, and the high voice comes from the high palate. That's also part of the microdeletion. So having a higher than normal palate and the narrow like way that her teeth were formed, her jaw, that's part of the palate. And she does have microcephaly. So her head circumference is only 51 centimeters. I'm looking at the medical records right here. I don't know if I show you, but I'm looking at them right here. Yeah, and she didn't have all of her salivary glands removed. So every person has 3 sets of salivary glands. There's like 2 up front, okay? And then you have 1 in the back, like it's kind of back behind your tongue, near the bottom base of your throat. That's the one that she had removed because that one was hypersalivating, and what it was doing was she was getting too much saliva that was pooling in her throat, which was causing her to choke. And before they removed it, they did Botox on it for years. Christy gave the medical records to everyone. She said her mom put Orajel on her gums to make her drool. How would her mom put Orajel on her mouth to make the salivary gland that's in the back of your throat pool? So they had to put a scope down, right? They had to put a scope down her throat to see that it was pooled. She was choking on her spit in her sleep, yes. So when you put Orajel on a tooth, usually it's up front. That's not going to create pools of hypersalivation in your back salivary gland. Okay, Kara. The lip licking is thrusting because of her high palate. So the lip, like the tongue thrust, is also part of her microdeletion. Have you ever noticed how her upper lip is shaped? How it's really like, it's big right here, and it's almost like downward. It's very thick. Yeah, so the tongue thrusting is because of the way that her mouth is shaped. And it's part of her, the deletion. So she has hold on, I have a PDF on the deletion. No one would be able to obtain my son's medical records. You're insane. And to even act as though I have Munchausen's, are you serious? Like you're gonna come in here and be like, Katie's the one that has Munchausen's. None of my son's medical records are public. Y'all are crazy. And I've never handed out a single medical record to anyone. So if anyone did get them, they would get their ass sued. Jesus. Yeah. Gypsy has people fooled. It's so wild. It is. I know. It's wild. Katie, you have lost all your class? I used to actually enjoy watching you. Oh, Cher, I'm sorry. Well, I'll say goodbye to you. The irony. Weirdo. Okay, I'm talking about someone else who's a public figure, okay? Gypsy Rose Blanchard's a public figure. She says so herself in her bio. Gypsy Rose Blanchard is a notorious murderer. She murdered her mom. And she has put out these medical records on dozens of documentaries and news outlets. When Gypsy was incarcerated, I don't know why she handed out medical records, to be honest. I honestly don't know why she gave them to so many people. I never saw medical records, like, as far as, like, the only medical record she ever sent to me was in January. She sent me, oh, thank you for that, heart. In January, she sent me the medical record for her deletion, which was from a neurology clinic in 2011. You just got the number 3 gifter bag. I love that you can admit you're wrong. I do admit I was wrong. This has been a very wild experience for me, frankly. I'm usually pretty good at sniffing out narcissists, and Christy's more covert. Like, Christy's not an overt narcissist. Gypsy is an overt. She's like an obvious narcissist, okay? Christy's more like conniving, and she's constantly like finding ways to like scheme and plan, whereas Gypsy's just like a very obvious one. So thank you for the gifts, everyone. I appreciate it. And I was fooled by the earlier documentaries. I will say that Becca Scoop's videos do a really good job of explaining this. And there are some things that we don't know for sure. Like, we can't say for sure if every single procedure was necessary. Obviously, she forced her daughter to stay in a wheelchair for years. But Gypsy, did you guys watch Nick's interrogation when he was asked about Gypsy's disability? So Nick told the investigators at his interrogation that he was told by Gypsy that her mom was making her pretend to be a 16-year-old girl with a disability that couldn't walk. And so when she was with her mom out in public, she had to pretend like she didn't walk, and she had to pretend like she was 16. That's what Gypsy told Nick. So why would Gypsy say I have to pretend like I can't walk? I have to pretend like I'm sick. And when CPS came to the house, what year was that? I don't know, 2009? She was 18 years old. Pretend equals malignant. Yes. Once she was just acting for her mom. Someone said, yay, finally catching my live. They were both malingering. I think that there is a certain extent, Dee Dee wasn't, like to teach your daughter to fake illnesses and to make her pretend like she's sick and to make her sit in a wheelchair. I mean, none of that is being the best mom, right? Like, to also like teach your daughter how to shoplift and to like go shoplifting with your daughter. That's not good mothering, right? Like, to bring your daughter into your theft, into your shoplifting, into your criminal life, to bring your daughter into your malingering life and groom her to be a malingerer with you is wrong. Yeah, I did see his stream with him last night. I did. So Gypsy and Dee Dee were caught shoplifting in Hobby Lobby, I think the fall before Dee Dee was murdered. And she was found with a bunch of stuff that she wasn't supposed to have. And Dee Dee, there was a bunch of stuff found in her wheelchair that she wasn't supposed to be having. And then Dee Dee was actually held at Hobby Lobby for shoplifting. Oh, thank you for that. She only bought one ticket for Nick. Yeah, I know, for the bus trip home. I know. My best friend with the niece of Dee Dee, the family wishes everyone would stop talking about her. My best friend with the niece of Dee Dee, the family wishes everyone would stop talking about her. Huh? I don't even know what that. So Dee Dee's sister is in a Facebook group. Her siblings have done multiple interviews, but none of Gypsy's aunts will speak to her. Like, none of Dee Dee's sisters will speak to her. None of her uncles will speak to her. None of her, like, on that side, the Petrie side, they don't want anything to do with her. Only her cousin Bobby speaks to her. Why would they go after the doctors who actually performed ear tubes? Like, why would you try to sue a doctor that literally, like, was treating a child with a ruptured eardrum? Why would you sue the doctor? What did the doctor do? Was a doctor who was an ENT supposed to just have their patient come in with a ruptured eardrum and not do anything? Oh, well, I'll give you a concept of what Gypsy thinks is abuse, because Gypsy will find a way to make everything abusive, and I've learned this about her in the last several months. When Gypsy has a breakup with a guy, this is what she does. Have you ever learned about like how narcissists love bomb, and then they devalue, so they start breaking someone down, and then they like cut them off, and then they hoover over them to suck them back in? Do you know that like the cycle with a narcissist? So she builds them up, she love bombs, she says they're like her knight in shining armor, and then when they do something to her that abusive, she accused Dan of being abusive, she accused Ryan of being abusive, she will accuse Ken of being abusive. And Gypsy's idea of abuse with Ryan was both of them yelling at each other. If you have a husband and you're both yelling at each other, are you abusing each other then? Isn't it kind of abusive for her to cheat on her husband? I mean, Ryan is kind of weird. I agree. Yes. What I've learned about Gypsy in the years I've known the family and just the interactions that I've had with her is that she will always find a way to be the victim in every single situation. So, for instance, she is saying the reason why I'm speaking is because she blocked me and I'm jealous and I'm a hater. Okay, she's saying that I'm a hater, I'm jealous, and I'm mad that she blocked me. That's not true at all. I'm not jealous of her. I would not want to be famous for killing my mother. I had abusive parents, you guys, and I didn't kill my parents. I moved out. And then I went no contact. Like, there's lots of kids that are abused that don't kill their parents. So she also made it seem like the only way that like she could leave was if she killed, and that's just not true. And then, okay. So there's actually this record in here where the doctors were asking her about guardianship, okay? So once Gypsy turned 18 years old, Dee Dee could no longer manage her medical appointments. And so doctors asked her, okay, they've restricted me. What does that mean? I used words I wasn't supposed to use. So the doctors were asking her to provide proof What does restricted mean? The M word, is that what it was? Leave and come back? Oh, I said the M word. Okay. Oh, I'm not restricted anymore. It's not restricted anymore. The restriction is, oh wait, no, it is restricted. What does that, what does it mean? Like, does it affect anything? Restart, okay.